Tick-tock on the Orioles trade deadline watch. They only have minutes until today's deadline at 6. Starting pitching and potential bullpen arms. The area's even Mike Elias himself has said the Orioles have interest. One of those strongly linked to them was three-time American League Cy Young Award winner Justin Verlander, but the Mets are sending him back to Houston with the Astros. He won 2 World Series, is one with the best arms in the AL. The Orioles are running out of options for starting pitcher, and it appears they'll find answers internally with their bullpen with the return of John Means, DL Hall, and potentially Tyler Wells. Or they may have just missed a huge opportunity they'll need down the road in October. They did make a trade with Seattle for minor league pitcher Logan Reinhart, a single-A bullpen arm. Going to be a while for him. Prior to that, another MLB starter was crossed off the trade wish list. The Tigers all-star Michael Lorenzen, another name shopped around and linked to the Orioles, but he's on his way to join the Phillies. Practice number 6 for the Ravens at training camp today, and another day in the pads for back-to-back more physical and active camp practices. Safety Geno Stone, who left practice yesterday with a noticeable limp, not in attendance. John Harbaugh said after it's an ankle and he shouldn't be out long. Pass rusher David Ojabo left early with trainers but returned to watch practice. Harbaugh said after practice he is fine. Minutes left to watch that trade deadline as the rest of the Orioles open up Game 2 in Toronto. That's tonight when Sports Unlimited continues.
Morgan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock tonight. Tonight is National Night Out. We get an update on Baltimore's crime fight from the city state's attorney.
We are following breaking news. A grand jury has indicted former President Donald Trump in the 2020 election probe. We will have the latest details next. National Night Off kicks off in Baltimore City and in other places in Maryland. We have an update on Baltimore's crime fight from the city's top prosecutor. A teen murdered 1 year ago, still no suspects. Fox 45 News speaks to the teen's mother in her ongoing fight for justice.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And we start tonight with the breaking news. Former President Donald Trump has been indicted on 4 counts tied to his alleged efforts to undermine the 2020 election. The indictment focuses on plans from Trump and his allies to stop the peaceful transfer of power to President Joe Biden to keep Trump in office despite his loss. This is the 3rd criminal case to be brought against the former president. Now, despite the charges, Trump is still leading the field of GOP candidates in the race for the White House in 2024. He has been summoned to appear before a judge in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. We are awaiting a live statement from special counsel Jack Smith on today's indictment. We will bring that to you live when it happens shortly. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for staying with us. Happening right now in Baltimore, city leaders and law enforcement agencies are asking Baltimore residents to show up to National Night Out. The nationwide event was created to help police departments and public safety officials across the nation connect with the communities that they serve. On Fox 45 News at 5, we spoke with City State's Attorney Ivan Bates about the importance of events like these in Baltimore's fight against crime.
We're doing what we're supposed to. There's so much more we need to do as prosecutors, but collaboratively, we're working together. We're reestablishing that partnership so we can go ahead and start making a safer city.
Well, coming up tonight on Fox 45 News at 10, Keith Daniels has a full interview with the City State's Attorney on the crime fight in Baltimore City. And for information about the National Night Out events going on throughout the city, head to foxbaltimore.com. Some harsh words for Judge Melissa Finn from City State's Attorney Ivan Bates after she decided to drop murder charges against a suspect after a prosecutor called out sick. We brought you the story first on Fox last night. Bates is calling the decision mind-boggling.
I don't like to speak negatively of other judges. They have a very difficult job as well. However, we also have to remember people are people. People get sick. And asking for a one-day delay of going after an individual that's accused of a violent murder in our city, we don't feel it's violating anybody's rights. But it's something that you do because it's fair. This isn't about me or my office. This is about the victim, the victim's family. I think too often in the criminal justice system, we forget about the victims. We forget about that family. And what we're saying to the court and everybody, let's have some civility. Let's treat people the way you'd want to be treated. If that was your loved one, would you want a judge to dismiss that case for a one-day continuance? The answer is no.
Well, tonight we're also hearing from one former state prosecutor who says there's a lack of transparency when it comes to the court system. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor has that story.
That's right. That former prosecutor tells me Maryland's court systems lack modern day technology, which in turn is creating a lack of transparency. A controversial decision raising questions about what's happening inside Baltimore City's courtrooms. On Monday, Administrative Judge Melissa Finn denying a one-day delay for a sick prosecutor, causing the case of an accused murderer to be thrown out before his trial even began.
This particular judge is notorious.
According to legal expert and former state prosecutor Coley Stimpson, it's not the first time Judge Finn's judgment has caused concern.
When you have judges who under-sentence or don't follow the law or take matters into their own hands and give slaps on the wrist instead of long prison sentences, the system breaks down.
But what decisions are made and by who is hard to trace behind a closed courthouse door unless you're watching a trial take place in person. Audio not accessible and video not permitted.
Maryland doesn't want the public and the press to have access to audio recordings of criminal proceedings. Last time I checked, there's a Sixth Amendment right to a fair and open proceeding.
A push was recently made by the Hogan administration to create more clarity. Under the Judicial Transparency Act, sentencing data would have been published with the judge's name attached. But before passing, the legislature stripping the judge's name out of the bill's language. Meanwhile, several other pushes to provide live streams of criminal proceedings and allow cameras in the courtroom also shut down by the legislature.
It's a total lack of transparency.
On top of a lack of access to trials, the court records themselves also difficult to obtain.
Nothing is available online, and Maryland is lagging behind almost every other state.
Especially in Baltimore City, it can take days to access important court documents due to an antiquated system where filings have yet to be digitized, limiting access to public records.
It's despicable, and it is not befitting of a 21st century court system.
Now, Baltimore City is expected to roll out electronic court filings by May of next year, but it's the last jurisdiction to do so, and it comes a full decade after electronic filings were first piloted in Anne Arundel County.
Reporting from the Mitchell Courthouse, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
The mother of a Baltimore teen who was murdered is pleading for justice tonight. It has been 1 year since 17-year-old Eve Enriquez was shot and killed in a quadruple shooting in southwest Baltimore, and no arrests have been made in the case yet. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell spoke with the mother and has her story.
This mother not only wants justice for her son, the case remains unsolved, but also for the city to do more to better protect young people. Family and friends released balloons in memory of Baltimore teen Eve Henriquez, who was shot and killed just 2 days before his 18th birthday 1 year ago.
July 29th, I lost my son. My kids lost their brother and their mother because I'll never be that same mother again.
Eve's mother, Makia, here talking over Zoom, but this time last year from the couch of her home in Baltimore.
I knew that this day could come. I did.
Eve was one of 2 people killed in a quadruple shooting in southwest Baltimore back on July 29th, 2022. The other victim, 34-year-old Bartimaeus Morris.
I just want to know why.
Investigators then said suspects in a stolen car had opened fire in the busy intersection here on North Avenue.
We hear boom, bow, boom, bow, bow.
But exactly who did this and why are questions that still haunt Makia.
I definitely do want justice. I do. But I don't see it happening. All these murders, they just keep coming. It's nonstop. Murder after murder after murder. And then there's so many children, which is heartbreaking. Like, what is going on with our youth that it's so many youth losing their life to gun violence?
Makia, troubled by her son's unsolved case and the level of violence in Baltimore that's seemingly impacting more and more young people. Before Eve's death, the mother admits she was struggling to keep him in school, but says getting help was even harder.
I talked to so many people, and it was like, oh, he never been locked up. He don't have a bad record in school. It's nothing we could do. Basically, like, we have to wait till something happened to get help. The last person that I talked to, I don't even remember what number it was or what office it was, and she was just like, just make sure you have some life insurance on your son.
Makia's worst fear turning into reality 1 year ago. The mother on Zoom because she's since moved her family out of Baltimore.
I have another son and a grandson, and I just want them to have a chance to be able to survive and grow up and, you know, be adult men and not lose their life to Baltimore City streets.
I reached out to Baltimore police for the latest on this investigation. A spokesperson responded saying the department has not yet identified any persons of interest or suspects in this case or a motive, so still many unanswered questions 1 year later. In Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Well, justice tonight for the family of Henrietta Lacks, more than 70 years after doctors at Johns Hopkins Hospital took her cervical cells without her knowledge. Today, prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump announced a settlement with one biotech company her family sued 2 years ago on what would have been Lacks's 103rd birthday. Lacks's cells were the first human cells to be cloned and reproduced, becoming a cornerstone of modern medicine. But her family had never been compensated. Crump argued that company Thermo Fisher had continued to commercialize her cells long after it was discovered the cells belonged to her. In a statement, Thermo Fisher says it was pleased to solve the matter. Hartford County Executive Bob Casserly admitting county officials did monitor communications on Hartford County servers after a councilman accused him of spying. Councilman Aaron Penman claims Casserly spied on his emails and phone calls. At first, Casserly rebuffed the allegations, but in a lengthy statement this afternoon, the county executive said he did review county servers, councilmen, sheriffs, and others. He says it happened after Penman accused him of misappropriating millions of dollars and was part of an investigation into those claims. Casserly claims monitoring communications is allowed and it was all done legally. A political analyst weighing in on this back and forth.
This seems like a vendetta more than anything else. He's making it more personal in nature, and it gives, the entire council and the executive a really bad look.
Fox 45 News obtained a copy of the county's cell phone usage policies. They still bear the letterhead of the previous county executive, but the first page states computer systems and files are the property of Hartford County and can be monitored at any time. Councilman Penman says he's not aware of signing that policy, and he's working to have the county council move to an independent server. We're following that breaking news. Special Counsel Jack Smith addressing the 4 new federal charges against former President Donald Trump. We're keeping an eye on it. It's set to start very soon, and we'll go back to it when he takes the podium. Well, Maryland State Comptroller Brooke Learman announcing Shop Maryland Tax-Free Week, happening from August 13th to the 19th. The initiative offers significant savings for families while they're doing their back-to-school shopping. The comptroller says that it will not only help families dealing with the stress of back to school, but will also support the local economy and local businesses. You can find more information on Tax-Free Week on our website, foxbaltimore.com. And Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters. Now through the first day of school, we'll be compiling all of the things busy parents need to know to prepare for a great school year. Just click on that QR code right there on your screen to check out all the stories we've posted so far, or go to foxbaltimore.com/back-to-school-HQ. Again, we're following the breaking news, today's indictment of former President Donald Trump. A live report from Washington next.
And here at Fox 45, we are your back-to-school headquarters, and it's just about a month until we go back to school across the area, including on the Eastern Shore. But we've got a lot of heat that's on the way. In the meantime, I'll let you know when it's going to finally return, when storms could accompany it, in my Weather Authority forecast.
Special Counsel Jack Smith addressing the new indictments against former President Trump. Let's listen in.
I would like to thank the members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation who are working on this investigation with my office, as well as the many career prosecutors and law enforcement agents from around the country who have worked on previous January 6th investigations. These women and men are public servants of the very highest order, and it is a privilege to work alongside them. Thank you.
Why didn't you charge any of the other co-conspirators, Mr. Smith?
Are you worried this gets back to the election? Are you planning to bring any other charges against more individuals?
Yes, we just got the tail end of a statement by Jack Smith. We'll try to bring more of that to you in the next couple of minutes. But again, former President Donald Trump facing 4 charges in a new indictment regarding trying to influence the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. We're going to talk with Scott Thuman in just a moment. For now, we're going to break and go to meteorologist Jonathan Myers with a weather forecast for us. Jonathan?
All right, Fox Triplecast this evening. The Toyota East Unit Harbor Skycam, the Mile 1 Cam, a little bit of sunshine. It feels really good. HD radar shows us acres of clear skies till we get way up northwest there. You can see some of the lightning that's way up in the distance into southern Canada. That's signs of our next weather maker. And that could be getting here over the next few days, but it's going to be a slow fall in terms of the weather pattern. For now, it actually kind of feels like fall. Comfy and dry for now, with the temperatures in the 80s this afternoon, dropping to 60s tonight. Rain chances do come up for week's end. We're talking maybe, say, Thursday and especially Friday. And it will be heating up once again, too, especially Friday into the weekend. Could be threatening 90 degrees by then. 80 right now, clear skies, beautiful on the Mile 1 Cam. Winds variable at 5, our humidity nice and low, 41%. Feels like temperature, hallelujah, feels like the actual temperature at about 81 degrees. 80 Baltimore, look at these 70s, beautiful stuff, feels almost September-like. HD radar shows some of the end of this up toward Minneapolis and Omaha. This round of rain and thunderstorms moving south and east, making the beeline, and the potential of getting some of those here again by later Thursday, but especially during the day on Friday. Weather map for now, very nice weather. We continue until that next system, the blue line, that's a cold front, swings our way, diminishes, but does bring a risk of some showers and storms. Heat and humidity building down to the south and west. This is what we kind of call a ridge riding disturbance, riding the ridge of near record heat down to the south, triple-digit heat across portions of the Gulf South. And it looks like by Thursday, that next weather maker, that disturbance does make it here. You see some of the green. Let's plan it out close up. Future scan says overnight tonight into tomorrow morning through tomorrow, dry. Let's take you all the way into Thursday early, though. We see some of the patchy clouds, and by Thursday afternoon, there are those spot showers that I mentioned, and maybe even a thunderstorm at a better risk. You see the green there on Friday for getaways of some showers and storms. 61, mostly clear tonight. Enjoy. Tomorrow, 84, mostly sunny. Get out, walk the dog. I'll let you know how hot things get in the 10-day forecast and when 90s are back in a couple of minutes.
All right, we're going to go back to the breaking news of the day out of Washington. Former President Trump indicted on 4 criminal charges related to his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Sinclair chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joins us live now with the latest. Scott, everybody's still poring over the indictment. And of course, we just heard from Jack Smith. We didn't bring a lot of that to our viewers. If you could just fill us in on what Mr. Smith had to say today.
Sure, Mary. I think the most poignant part of what we have learned so far from Jack Smith and from this 45-page indictment is this narrative that they have really laid out there, accusing the former president of doing whatever possible to subvert the results of that election and the peaceful transfer of power. I want to read you just a quick sentence here from it. It's early on in this indictment, in the introduction, where the prosecutors write, despite having lost, the defendant, meaning Donald Trump, was determined to remain in power, that he spread lies, that there was fraud, widespread fraud in the election, and that he had actually won, even though he, quote, knew they were false. It goes on to say that Donald Trump wanted to create, quote, an intense national atmosphere of mistrust and anger and erode public faith in the administration of the election. And Mary, just quickly, one of the things that makes this different, because you've heard a lot of analysts say over the past couple of days this would be unprecedented, is because when you look at the other 2 indictments we have seen so far, the one in New York regarding the alleged hush money payments to cover an affair, and the one in Florida regarding classified documents that were taken from the White House, and then supposedly the former president obstructed the government's efforts to get those back. Look at those bookends. One was for the most part, before he became president and the other after. The difference is this is something that they allege he did while in office.
All right, and of course, this is the third criminal indictment. You just named all three Trump has faced. What is the impact it's having on, or will have, on the campaign trail? I know Ron DeSantis put a statement out on Twitter saying that he thinks the former president should have the right to take this trial out of D.C., calling it a swamp.
Of course, and you're going to hear a lot of that. What I think is interesting, Mary, as you raise the question of what does this mean for him politically, if you rolled back the clock and you went back 10, 15 years and anywhere preceding that, typically even the allegation would sink someone's campaign. I mean, you've seen it time and time again where minor scandal has upended entire political careers. But the opposite has been the case for Trump. He has continued to, at least at times, thrive off of all of this. And look at the poll numbers. I mean, right now, you mentioned Ron DeSantis. Governor DeSantis is trailing by 30-some points in the polls. And so there are many people who are saying that Trump is already, to some degree, the presumptive nominee. I know that's way ahead of the game, very early in this stage. But nonetheless, that's the chatter, despite the fact that he's already been indicted twice, then today a third time. There's a potential fourth one awaiting him if that happens in Georgia for trying to pressure, allegedly, the Secretary of State in Georgia to overturn the results there and somehow find 11,000 more votes to get him the win. Yet, despite all of this, he is indeed largely in the lead in these polls and in the driver's seat, so to speak.
And he will be in Washington, D.C. on Thursday to face these new 4 charges in this indictment. Scott Thuman reporting live, breaking this down for us tonight. We appreciate it. And stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Mary.